Guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, especially if you love MMA as much as I do. I'm going to go ahead and start actually giving scenarios on how Max Holloway can beat Justin Gaethje and vice versa, how Gaethje can beat Holloway. Because this is a fight that I'm really excited for. And normally I don't talk about fights months ahead of time like that unless they're really big fights or title fights. You know, and this fight's both. It's for the BMF title. And again, I'm not going to give the abbreviations for it, like say them, because I don't cuss on my channel. I'll let you go look it up on the internet. For Holloway, I would give him a 45% chance to win this fight. And you're thinking, well, that's a big chance. I mean, Gaethje's a better fighter, blah, 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 blah. Yes and no. Yes, he's technical. And he knows how to not get hit as much while still inflicting damage to you. If you look at his fights with Chandler, with Ferguson, just as an example, when he's not overly aggressive and when he's picking his shots with you, even with his rematch with Poirier last July, he was able to be patient, but he was still aggressive. He wasn't overly aggressive. And that's why he won those fights. He was able to pick those guys apart, and he was able to finish them. You know, not Chandler, but if it was a 5-round fight, he would have finished it. With Holloway, he doesn't need to play his game. He needs to walk him down, get in his face, and make sure his back is against the fence. In other words, pressure fight. And you're thinking, well, he's going to get knocked out doing that. Not likely, because Gaethje can brawl. But if he wants to win this fight, he's not going to brawl. He's going to try and separate himself, keep some distance. I wouldn't be surprised to see Gaethje be kind of patient in this fight. Holloway's a dog. He's dangerous in this fight. He's actually more dangerous than Justin is because he has nothing to lose. He's already fought for the featherweight title. He's lost fights. He's been featherweight champ. He's fought for the lightweight title. He's probably not going to get it if he loses this fight, and he understands nobody's picking him to win. I'm giving Holloway a big chance to win. Because if you get in someone's face like Gaethje, who's used to, who wins because he's able to be patient and pick you apart and eventually finish it, and he's lost his fights because he's been overly aggressive. Think about it, the Charles Oliveira fight, overly aggressive. The first time he fought Poirier and when he fought Alvarez, overly aggressive. He got beaten both those fights. Khabib beat him because he was just a better fighter that night. But 3 of those 4 losses, 75%, that's a big number because he was overly aggressive. Holloway needs to be the aggressor, and he can do it for 5 rounds. And here's the thing. I know Gaethje could knock him out, but if Volkanovski couldn't knock him out in 3 fights, I don't think Gaethje's going to knock him out either. I do think he can rock and hurt Holloway, but not put him out with 1 punch or anything like that. Holloway's a beast, man. He's a dog. And Holloway said he wanted this fight for a reason. And Holloway, he demonstrated good head movement in his fight with Clatter, whatever his name was, when he went on a 2-fight winning streak before he had his 3rd fight with Volk. And he said, I'm the best boxer in the UFC. And he was able to move around and still pick the guy apart. Now, Gaethje's clearly a better striker than Clatter. No offense. Because Gaethje's a bad boy. But Holloway can beat him. I do see a case and scenario where Holloway's going to walk him down and put him against the cage or have him going backwards and outboxing Gaethje in the 1st or 2 rounds. I can see that happening because, again, he's a dangerous guy. I don't see why he can't beat Gaethje. There's a big chance he can beat him. And yeah, you can throw leg kicks, but usually you're doing that when you have distance between yourself and the guy and you're able to move. If your back's against the fence or you're constantly going backwards and you have someone in your face like Holloway, who doesn't get tired, by the way, it's hard that takes away Gaethje's leg kicks, and it makes Gaethje have to brawl with him. And if this is a brawl, I trust Holloway a little bit more if he doesn't get knocked out. And I say that because he's never been knocked out. You know what I'm saying? He's been submitted, but not knocked out. Interestingly, they've both lost to Poirier in the past. Now, I know Gaethje beat him, but that doesn't mean anything in this fight. So again, if Holloway fights his fight, gets the best of it, which I know he can, and he forces Gaethje to be superly aggressive like he has been in the past, it will cost Gaethje the fight. And Holloway can catch him with a big punch. Think about it. If Gaethje gets overly aggressive, his hands are going to drop like this. And he's going to try to swing more. Look what happens when you swing more. This is vulnerable, and then that's vulnerable. Holloway can put you away with strikes. You can ask Aldo about that. The greatest featherweight of all time. Finished him both times. Great fights, both of them. But he does that. Holloway can certainly put him away. And unlike Holloway, Gaethje's been TKO'd before. He's been knocked out before. So if Holloway were to win the fight, it wouldn't be a decision. It would be a third or a fourth round TKO. I don't think it'd make it to the fifth round, but it would go past at least the first 2 rounds. I believe Gaethje will get tired of being patient with him, and he's gonna think, look, man, I'm down 2 rounds, or these 2 rounds are too competitive. I need to put him out now. And it's most likely to happen in the fourth, because then that would be the scenario. Because this fight's not going to the ground. But again, if Holloway pressures him, stays in his face, you take away the leg kicks, and Gaethje's known for leg kicks, and you take away the jabs, you're making Gaethje have to stand and fight your fight. And I trust Holloway more in a slugfest than I would Gaethje, because Holloway has never been knocked out, and Gaethje has been knocked out. All right? So I'm not giving y'all my pick, but for Holloway, that's what he has to do. Be aggressive, pressure him, don't give him any space to breathe, and count on Gaethje to be frustrated and eventually be overly aggressive. Because again, he's lost fights in the UFC outside Khabib, Oliveira. Who else did he lose to? Poirier, Alvarez. Why did he lose those fights? Were they better fighters than him? Not necessarily, but he was overly aggressive. When you're overly aggressive, you leave yourself vulnerable to what? Being TKO'd, being submitted in fights that you could have won. I see that being possible. So that's how Holloway could win. It would have to be a TKO, and it's definitely possible.